hello, and welcome to Session 7, TCCA 2020. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions as we're going, make sure you put them in chat and they will be addressed throughout the session. I would now like to introduce the presenter of this session, Miss Ashli McDonald.
Well, hello, and thank you for joining me this afternoon. I really appreciate you spending your Saturday with me, even if it's just for a little bit. So, my name is Ashli McDonald, and I am the Technology Integration Champion and Avid Coordinator at Willow Ridge High School. I am currently I'm going to say in the middle of getting my Educational Technology Leadership Master's at Lamar University. So, this particular session is actually something very near and dear to me because I am definitely one of those people that I like organization. I like making things efficient for everyone and saving my administrative team some time. So hopefully I've got some administrators in here that are looking forward to seeing some of how you can maximize your time and keep track of your teachers and some of the compliance type items in there. So if you could please in the chat, if you could just type your name and then what your position is. And on our screen, you'll see that I do have a free Schoology account as well as the one that I have for my particular district. So if you would like to join this course, it's up there at the very top in green with the course code, and then you will have access to all the items that we're going to talk about today, including any additional ones that I put in after this as well. So I see we've got some CTE teachers. I see we've got several different districts represented, some APs and principals. So thank y'all so much for joining in with us. So I do just want to make this clear that this is a session that is definitely geared towards administration. So if you have aspirations of being an administrator one day, this is definitely something that you'll want to stay in. Because it is going to kind of deal with how you can do some walkthroughs, record those in Schoology, lesson plan structure, and all of those type things. So with that being said, we're going to kind of get started. This is definitely one of those type sessions that is a seeing type session. And again, if you join this course, you will have access to some of these items. And then I will also be showing partly our course that we have for my campus, so you can see what it looks like with several teachers in there as well. So with that being said, even though Schoology is definitely a tool for students to be engaged with, I'm sure that any of the districts that are in here that are using it now have also seen where they can use different courses and groups for other items as well. We have a staff course on our page where we deliver a lot of our professional development in there, need to know items. And then what you're going to be seeing today is a lesson plan course, which is where all of our teachers turn in their lesson plans and other items that they need for compliance and things of that nature. Especially with us being in this realm of not everybody's on campus, not everybody's in the same place at the same time. It definitely makes it easier on my administration team where they have these items in one area that they can go to and see. So just a little background about the campus that I'm at. I am at a Title I high school, and I've been there for 4 years. This is my 4th year, and I am the Avid coordinator on the campus, which also serves as a department head. And then I am also the technology integration champion, which is a teacher leadership position in our district where we receive training about blended learning and technology instruction. And so I'm also part of the instructional team with that aspect as well. So that's just kind of to let you know where I kind of look at some of this stuff from the lens of being someone that goes into classrooms and looks at items and lesson plans and things of that nature. So in our course, which is my EdTechie McD virtual classroom, you will see that there are 2 sessions in here, and we're going to be in the black folder session, which is Teachers Need Feedback Too. Okay, and I've included a couple of links for you because right now what you will see is there is the regular T-TESS rubric link in there. And then because we are in this situation where some people are also giving virtual instruction, I know on my campus right now, I am partly face-to-face, where I have 4 classes that are face-to-face instruction. And then I have 2 online classes that were of students who have chosen to stay home for this particular term. And so I'm giving instruction in there as well. So there's also the T-TESS virtual instruction rubric in there so that you can use this as some reference items as we go through. So one of the first things is lesson plans. If you could just type into the chat a yes or a no. Do you have to turn in lesson plans? Or if you are an administrator, do you require your teachers to turn in lesson plans? And I'll give you just a second to pop in those answers. And again, yes or no, do you require teachers to turn in lesson plans? Or if you are a teacher, are you required to turn in lesson plans each week? Seeing yeses. Lots of yeses. Okay. Well, just going back from my own experience. So I'm in year 11 of being a teacher. When I first started, I, of course, was not the greatest lesson plan writer. I will fully admit that. I went through and I actually received my bachelor's degree in fine arts in theater, and I went through an alternative certification program. Well, I say all that to say is when I was asked to turn in lesson plans, I was just to email them to my department head, right? And I don't know if anyone else is like me, but your email box, especially right now, because we can't just go down the hall and talk to someone, is probably in shambles, where you get tons of emails a day. And I know my poor administrators, I have looked at my administrators' email boxes while I've just been having conversations. And while we have sat there and been talking, they've received 40 more emails. So that to me is not an especially efficient way of turning in lesson plans, because it can become cluttered. They can get lost. My next campus that I was at had us turn in lesson plans through SharePoint, but it seems like we had to go through all these different folder systems to get in there and turn in the lesson plans, upload them, and it still was kind of hard to find. And I'm that type of person. I need alarms. I need a reminder so that I turned them in on time and things of that nature. So one of the things that we started doing at my campus I'm at now is when we implemented Schoology campus-wide for our teachers. Of course, this also brings in some modeling for some student expectations that teachers could do for them. We built out a lesson plan course. And so the way that worked is we set up a folder system that went by each term and then by each grading period. So it was term 1, then it had the first progress report, second progress report, and the end of the 9 weeks. And within each one of those folders, we set up an assignment for the lesson plans. Okay, and we set we had for each of the departments, because some of them turn them in by 5 p.m. on Fridays. Some departments that are singletons, meaning that they only have one person on campus, they don't really have a true PLC, they turn in those items at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. So the way that worked is now it's set up and as an assignment. When we put in that due date time, what it did was it put that on the calendar for the teacher in Schoology. So if you will look to the right on my particular course, you'll see that there is a week 11 lesson plans for October 26th through the 30th that is due by 11:59 tonight, right? So that makes it one a little bit easier for teachers, because if they're going into Schoology and they're seeing that on their to-do list, it's a way they're like, okay, I know I've got to turn in my lesson plans and so on. But what it does for the administrators is when you go in, it makes it very easy for you to filter who's turned in their lesson plans and who hasn't, right? Because that's the first step of teacher compliance. And especially as you're getting ready for your T-TESS evaluations and things of that nature, you want to be able to have that particular piece to talk to, because if a teacher is not turning in lesson plans to you, how are you going to truly assess them on T-TESS when it comes to domain 1, which is the lesson planning, right? And and I'm not a certified T-TESS appraiser, so if I mess that up, please gently correct me. But that's definitely one of the things that you want to kind of like be able to speak to, right? And then it's not just about being able to turn in lesson plans, right? And that brings me to kind of the whole point of this course is teachers need feedback. They need feedback on their lesson plans, especially our first year teachers or people that are new to your campus who may not know all of the requirements that your campus has. I know that my campus is very structured with our lesson plan course. There are certain expectations that are to happen instructionally. We're big proponents of the learning expectations and success criteria and structured peer-to-peer conversations. And then we also engage in something called Relay on our campus. So those are things that we ask the teachers to note on their lesson plans. So if I go into our lesson plan for right now, you'll see that there's actually a rubric attached to the lesson plan. So while I'm going over this part, if anybody is willing to just submit just a file to that lesson plan assignment, I will be able to show you on the next part how that kind of goes into how you can give a teacher private feedback when it comes to their lesson plans and really show them that you are looking at those. But one of the things that we did on our lesson plans is when it came to looking at the things that we were trying to assess with those teachers, we came up with a grading scale. And even though it does have a numeric value, we tell the teachers to pay attention more so to the wording that is underneath. So you'll notice that we tried to model kind of what is similar to the student learning objectives, which is developing, progressing, proficient, and then there's also the advanced level. Well, we just stayed at the proficient level, but in here we've got punctuality and completeness. Of course, are they doing all the different days that are needed? And then we talk about proficient. What does that look like? The plans are on time and they're complete for each prep, because teachers do have to upload each one of their preps into this lesson plan assignment. Progressing is the plans are late or they're incomplete for one or more preps. And then, of course, developing plans are just not evident, meaning they probably didn't turn them in, or there is nothing on the form for us to look at. The next piece that we kind of break down as to what we're looking for is the learning intentions. What do the students need to learn? So again, we talk about some of the things. What is proficient? It includes the student will statements, so that it's very clear. What are they learning today? What are they what are they learning? Why are they learning it? Okay. Progressing is It's stated, but it's kind of vague. It's not very clear, meaning that that might be something that needs to be visited within that PLC, or if that teacher is planning on their own, that might be a point for an instructional coach or someone on campus to kind of work with them as they're developing their lesson plans. Because it could mean that the teacher themselves doesn't quite understand how they are connecting their students to their learning. So this isn't necessarily a gotcha, and that's one of the key things to think about when you're using this piece, but it's definitely another way of coaching, making sure that your teachers do understand what it is that you're trying to get to and get the students to understand in their classroom. It's definitely one of those things that you want to kind of think about. And then we continue on with like the success criteria, same type thing. And then we go down to the learning experience. And we do talk about what does that look like. It should be robust. It should connect your learning intention to your success criteria and so on. It talks about what are some of the homeworks that you're providing for the student. And so, again, that learning experience is another place to kind of hone in and take a look at. And then, of course, we also assess structured peer-to-peer conversations. So we are required to have peer-to-peer conversations in our classrooms at least once a week. And we do try and notate those on our lesson plans so that if administrator wants to come in and observe, or if there is another teacher they want to come in, and it's that idea of the open door policy when it comes to professional development, this is a way that they too can come in and be like, okay, well, Miss McDonald is going to be having a structured peer-to-peer conversation activity in her Avid 4 classes on Thursday during second period. And they might suggest to another teacher, like, hey, you might want to go in around this time to go watch this activity. So again, and a part of that was also pre-COVID, but that definitely kind of has helped on our campus where we've had that where teachers can kind of go in and observe each other and take back that feedback or take back some of those things to try in their own classrooms. Because I'm a firm believer, it doesn't matter how many years you've been teaching, there is always something that you can be learning, a new strategy, something new for the campus. And even our highest achieving teachers, they tend to be the ones that kind of do that self-reflection and be like, okay, what's something new I can learn in there? We love to call ourselves lifelong learners, but this is definitely a way that you can put that into action. Okay. Do I have any questions over that part? No. And thank you so much, Anne, for putting in a document for me. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to actually change this item now to a graded item. And you'll see here that in the grading categories for this particular course, I did put in the different domains. And then I have one that's called observations. And again, I can show you guys, or if we run out of time, because this is definitely one of those sessions that could be multiple sessions, I will put it in videos to show you how you can create these different grading categories and put in those items. So we're going to put this under planning. And we have our rubric that is already assigned. We're going to click Save Changes. And when you come in, so what our administrators do is they go right up here to grade, because again, your teachers may be familiar with this, but as administrators, you may not be using Schoology in this capacity as much. So as you come in, one of the cool things about using with rubrics in Schoology is it automatically starts building everything down for you, right? So I'm going through and I'm grading Anne's lesson plans. And then what I can do is over here on this far right-hand side, by the number that's in there, I can put a comment on there. So it might be that I see something about her learning intention that needs to be a little bit more clear. So or she could have been missing them at all. So please. So this might be just something a little short that I want to give her just as a note. And then when I click save, I would just come back in here, and under the submission activity, I could either leave her a different note, or I could say, hey, do you mind stopping by my office and us talking this over, or something of that nature. So again, it kind of makes it where you can save some email space, right? And it also kind of creates this dialogue. And then my teachers that are in here, please don't be upset with me, but my administrators, this also starts putting in some documentation that you have made attempts to talk to this teacher about this particular item. I know that we don't always want to document it, so this is kind of more of an informal style, but I know that throughout the year, sometimes you forget how many times you've had to talk to a teacher about a particular item. And this kind of allows for you to be able to go back and track that a little bit more and be like, oh yeah, I did speak to them about this once before. Or, maybe give them kudos, be like, hey, I know we talked last week and I see that your lesson plans have really come a long way. So you can give praise in that area as well. So it's not just like I said, it's not just a gotcha, but it's definitely also a place where you can help teachers feel a little bit more safe and grow in there as well. Okay. So, any questions on the lesson plan part? Anybody thinking, oh, I didn't even think about that, and this is going to be a lot easier for me to organize than having to have all these in my email or try and search in a bunch of files? Hopefully that's what you're thinking right now. And so in here, I also just put in a couple of other different ways of maybe some of the items that you might want to put in here. And then before I take you over to our particular campus course, where you can kind of see it as it's really fully flushed and robust. So I also know that not every campus or district has on here. Yes, I will share about how I set up the rubric. Not every campus or district has the technology or the applications to do their T-TESS walkthroughs online already. So when it comes through, right now, I know my campus or our district uses Eduphoria. Well, in my particular opinion, I always think about also saving money, right? And so to me, if it's something I can build within Schoology that we're already paying for because we have the enterprise version, could we possibly cut cost on this other side as well? And so when it comes to the classroom visits, or if it's something a little bit more informal, you can also build out your walkthroughs this way. So you can make it where you don't have to have the teacher submit anything, but as you come in, you'll see over here at the top right, there's an edit grades. So when I come in here, and whoever is part of this course, so this would be all your teachers, right? You can come in and click on here and notice that I have taken parts of the for just this example, I took parts of the T-TESS rubric and put them into a Schoology rubric. So again, now as I'm watching in class, if I'm observing a teacher, I can go in here and kind of click, and then I can leave my notes over here on the side of what I observed. Or if I want to just kind of be writing my stuff down and then go back to my office and fill this out and put my notes in here, I can do that as well. But what this does is, as soon as you finish this, it sends it to the teacher as their updated grade, right? So it allows for a teacher to not have to sit through that kind of pending period where, like, okay, what did they see? What were some of the things that maybe I need to look at? And they're able to go in there and kind of be like, okay, Yes, that happened. All right. I see their notes from there. Oh, they gave me kudos for my procedures in class. Okay, great. And it allows for a teacher to also kind of know throughout the year, where do they stand on their evaluation. I know that as a teacher myself, that's one of the things that kind of drives me crazy is it's like I don't know exactly where I'm going to fall on the T-test rubric. I mean, I kind of know, but I don't know until we get to the big 45-minute evaluation. And then all of a sudden I have to have my conversation. And it's like, now I have to prove what I've done all year. And I can't go back and like look at some things and, have some points for myself to also talk about and be like, well, you see, I turned in all my lesson plans on time. I have, great scores on those. It looks like, you've done all this. And so it definitely, just for me as a teacher, it feels like I also now can see the same things that you're seeing as an administrator. And so we're more on the same page, right? And it takes away some of that gray area, at least in my opinion. I don't know if that's in everybody's opinion, but because I'm also that teacher that I had a very hard time when T-TESS first came around, because all of a sudden, that proficient is rock solid teaching, as they like to say. I I viewed it as being a C student. And that was not my, like, I did not like it. And it really took a while for me to kind of reprogram my brain and my mindset to what that really meant. But again, now I'm able to kind of see this and look at these areas a little bit more, and it makes it a little bit more clear for me as a teacher. So again, that's why I kind of say, teachers need the feedback as well. And so you can do it with a rubric, or there's also where you can do it as a scale. So what I did on here, and again, I will put in videos and show you guys this as well, but in the scale part, again, we have like a distinguished, an advanced, proficient, developing, and improvement needed. So it might be that you aren't being as detailed when you go through and just do a 15-minute, or maybe it's just like a random walkthrough. It's not a full-on T-test walkthrough, and you can build your own scales. And I might put in here advanced, and again, leave in notes for that teacher about like, hey, these are the things I saw. This is what was really good. These are the things I might want you like to think about, or have a conversation with. And what they will see is they won't see a point value for this. They will only see that they either got advanced, distinguished, proficient, and so on. And so again, that kind of makes it nice for them as a teacher to kind of see that and know where they're going to from there. And again, you can put in like for your 45-minute observation this way, and so on. So it definitely has a whole bunch of different ways that you can kind of play with this. We do also, like, as part of our checkout, we always have the teachers upload their summer professional development plans. So that's an assignment that sometimes that we ask for them to do in here. And again, it keeps it in one area for you. So if you need to go back and check a professional development plan for a teacher, it's right in there. So you don't have to go searching through a bunch of files and folders and clicks. One place. Think of it as a one-stop shop, right? Because I know administrators are busy. I know instructional coaches are busy. And so this is definitely a place that you can kind of work through in one area. And then one of the other things is, you saw that I had those grading categories set up. So if I go to like the grade book, right? Yes, ma'am. I hear it unmuting.
Okay. We have a couple questions. The first question is, in regards to evaluative documentation, is there a way to sort the comments for the administrators, or will they self-generate by date?
I'm sorry, repeat that question for me.
In regards to evaluative documentation, is there a way to sort the comments for the administrators, or will they self-generate by date? So that way you can date whenever you spoke with that person.
Right. So with that, they're not going to necessarily, you're not going to see the comments on the inside. They will stay on that particular assignment. But one of the ways that you can kind of work with that is when you are giving the feedback in the grade book. So let me find one. And I may have to switch over to our other one for this. Okay. Let me actually show y'all on a live one. So I'm going to stop sharing a screen for just a second, and I'm going to reshare. Because I know in theory sometimes this is kind of hard to see. So I'm going to let y'all have a sneak peek into our life. And so I'm going to go to our grade book, right? And in the grade book, you're going to see different items in here as well. So you're going to see like these are examples of teachers that have turned in their lesson plans, correct? Down here at the bubble. So when you grade an item in Schoology, in this grade book, and this might answer your question, Mr. Coleman, when it comes to like the workbook, you can see this in here where you have, they put a grading comment, right? And so it's saying extensions must extend the learning, revise and resubmit. So that came from the instructional coach on our team that kind of reviewed that lesson plan. And down here at the bottom, it says display to student. Well, that's so that the teacher can see. You can also uncheck that box. So if you are just leaving this type of feedback in the actual assignment, this could be an area where you put, comment was submitted to the teacher. And so when you're going through and you see these bubbles in there, that's a way that you can see, okay, I said something to the teacher on this date. Let me go look at that comment real quick. And this is all in one area for you. So that might be more of what you're looking for. It would just be something that you and your administrative team would kind of have to really talk about, like logistically, where do you want your feedback to go? How do you want to mark when you're giving an item? And then how are y'all going to use this part for yourselves? And again, this is something that I really like talking through. So, anybody that wants to like pick my brain, connect with me. That's why I created this course. So you're definitely going to be able to reach out and message me and talk to me on that as well.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We had quite a few questions in regards to importing rubrics.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to import a rubric?
So you can't import the rubric, but you can copy and paste into a rubric. So just like what I was doing with that T-TESS rubric, I just literally went and copied and popped it right into the section that I needed it and just did it that way. But once you create the rubric one time, you can reuse that rubric as many times and as on many assignments as you want. So Schoology is one of those things. And again, I have to tell this to my teachers a lot. Sometimes the front loading takes a little bit longer, but once you have it in there, like you're good to go. But the good thing is if you are like on a team or in a group, y'all can build resources together. You can share resources. So if you find somebody like me that likes to do stuff like this, because I'm a nerd, and have them build those rubrics and share them to you, it cuts out a lot of your time. So hopefully that helps. And then you'll just kind of notice too that in this particular, the way we set up our lesson plans is I set it up to where each content area kind of had their own section. Like there's one big lesson plan course that the administrators as an admin can see, but they can easily file to each section. And so if you are the appraiser for just the math section, you can do the pull down to just go to math and come in here and just look at their items and like what you're looking for on them. Okay. And then just a few other items that we have in here in particular is that we just have like our SOAR expectations that we had. The teachers also turned in like their mandatory annual staff training certificates in this area. We had to come up with an action plan before we returned to campus for how we were going to work into the rooms. So again, this makes it really kind of nice for us to see. Like I don't have to guess as a teacher where I need to go turn in stuff. It's all going to go into one place. So if you look at it from a student point of view, which would be actually the teachers in here, this is what it looks like. And then we do create folders where we take the lesson plans from the year before and we put them in like a little archive place. So again, if a teacher needs to go make reference or go back to their lesson plans, they're able to come in here and look at that. Okay. And I see you, Miss Showers, about copying and pasting a rubric. So yes, I can definitely show that in just a little bit. And then again, this is kind of an area where you might put in if you're doing some kind of form or you need like, we're a Microsoft district. I know some are also a Google district. This is where if you create forms for your teachers or for your administrators to use for like evaluations and stuff, this is also another place where you can kind of put all that info in one spot. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the other screen real quick. And please forgive me, guys, as I went through. Okay, there we go. When it comes to building rubrics, again, it's kind of one of those things that you can use your resources if you want to use in there. Schoology also does a great job of having like different areas where you can build rubrics and still have ways to get to them. In this particular instance, what I would say is if you want to build like a scale or a rubric, you can go to your grade setup in the course. This is also the area where you can create those different grading categories that you want, such as, you know, the different domains, if you want to break it down that way. If you want to do like observations, you can have that as its own grading category. You can just make it where it just says lesson plans. You could have one where, you know, it's professionalism, whatever it is that you want to kind of use as your assessing tools. And then over here on the right hand side, you'll see scales and rubrics. So this is where I created that feedback scale to where it says distinguished, advanced, proficient, development, and improvement needed. And then when you click rubrics, if you click add, this is where you can build out a rubric. So this is where I was just taking information straight from the T-TESS, and I was just clicking into these cells and hitting Control V and copying them right in there. And one of the things that's really nice about this too is anytime you have a rubric, you can always go back in there if you need to make some adjustments to it, change the point scale. So this one is in here, but it does tell you like if you have that it's already been used, like any changes in this rubric will update all those other ones as well.
10 minutes, Ashley.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And again, this is just kind of an area where you can kind of look and see. And again, as they were pointing out, for the Aldine people in here, you have a DLS that can help you out with this. But it's definitely one of those things that it models for the teachers some of the expectations that they should be taking down to their students as well. So we expect for teachers to be giving feedback to students. And that, again, that's why when I was coming up for the name of this session is like, yes, teachers need feedback as well, because I think sometimes that as we get in this profession and we go along, we forget that we still have room that we can grow on, or there's areas that, you know, sometimes we need to hear like, oh, you did do this really well, right? That's why I'm such a big proponent of rubrics for students, because it allows for a student not to just see the evaluation, but lets them see the areas that they're very successful in, as well as the areas that they need to grow in. So it's not just this, oh, I can't do anything right, I got a low score, but they're able to kind of look and see, well, even though I got a low score, I did do this part really well. So let me just kind of fix this and maybe I can do better the next time. So again, that's kind of my mindset. And I feel like even as adults, we need to see that sometimes. And then one of the last things that I wanted to kind of point out, as I think it's always a great way, especially because we're kind of in this different atmosphere, is you can have what we call badges. So if you look down there in like domain 4, there is a thing on like what's called digital badging, right? And so it might be that when a person is doing a lot of professional development, however you structure it on your campus, right, they can receive badges for attending professional development. So such as you guys today that are attending this session, I'm actually going to go in and give you a badge for teachers need feedback too. So I'm just kind of eyeballing real quick who wasn't in the last session. And then I'm going to go back because I saw you in here, Mr. Coleman. So I'm going to make sure I go back and give you yours for both sessions. So now what is kind of cool is if you go to your profile in Schoology, and this will happen for teachers too, you will see over on the right-hand side, badges. So, and if they click on those badges, you can see like what sessions they've attended, what's the reason they got that badge, and so on. So if you have a teacher that's doing an excellent job at turning in lesson plans, they look really great, give them a little kudos. Give them a badge for it. That's definitely something that might make that teacher's day. And then what I do is I use this as evidence when I turn in my T-TESS portfolio, which I actually do on Schoology. And so I put all my evidence for when I go to have my evaluation in there, and I share my Schoology portfolio with my appraiser. And that's where we go look at all the different items and we talk about my evaluation and so on. So again, it makes it really easy for him to see all the different evidence pieces. So badging only works in courses. It does not work in groups, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry. That's the only place it works at is in courses. So that's why we do this as a lesson plan course. All right. And then just because we did have a couple of people turn that in and I did talk to you, I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping back. But notice how since we had 2 people turn these in, you can also see on here what needs grading, what's on time, what would be late, and then who all has not submitted from this. So again, makes it really easy for you guys to kind of check in with those teachers and be like, hey, you haven't turned in your lessons for, this week or last week, and have that talking point with them. It's very clear cut on it. So, and it timestamps as well. Information, if you want to contact me at any point, just even to bounce some ideas off. If you have people in your district that do this, hey, totally go for that as well. But like I said, this is kind of the things that I'm looking forward to. And, hopefully, fingers one day, I'll be able to help while I'm part of an administrative team as well. So.
If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat for Ashli. But Ashli, this has been awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you for showing us your Fort Bend thing as well, because I think just seeing like that real life example kind of, made it a little bit more real for them. And I think this is a really cool way that y'all do it. It's like your one-stop shop. I mean, the teacher's already using Schoology anyway. Let's just do it all in Schoology. So that was pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all your secret word for this session, and it is empower. And you can really empower your teachers with this new way of lesson plan feedback right here. So empower, capital E, it is case sensitive. We have one more session left for the day. Ashli, thank you so much. I really enjoyed both of your sessions. So thank you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast, but thank you all for watching.
Thank you so much, guys.